Welcome to the silence of the tomb before the body is even dead. You are here because you have spent years, perhaps decades, waiting for the moment of reckoning. You have waited for the mask to crack, for the apology to come, for the wisdom of age to finally soften the heart of the person who tormented you. But you are realizing a chilling truth that society is too polite to whisper. Time does not heal a narcissist, it only calcifies the rot. You are looking at an elderly person who appears frail, perhaps even pitiable, but behind those clouded eyes, the machinery of manipulation is still grinding, even if the gears are rusted. Today, we are exposing the old, alone, and still lying reality that proves evil doesn't retire, it just loses its audience. Have you ever walked into a room where they are sitting alone, and you catch a glimpse of their face before they put the mask back on? It is a look of terrifying emptiness. But the moment they see you, the performance begins again. The stories of grandeur, the rewritten history where they are the hero, the subtle digs at your weight or your career, it's all still there. The big haunting question that plagues every survivor is, why? Why keep lying when the game is clearly over? The answer is as brutal as it is simple, because the lie is the only thing holding their shattered psyche together. Without the lie, they are dust. We are going to dismantle the myth of the sweet old person. Society conditions us to respect our elders, to assume that white hair equals wisdom and frailty equals innocence. The aging narcissist weaponizes this societal blind spot. They hide their malice behind a walker or a cane. They use their failing memory as a gaslighting tool, selectively forgetting their abuse while remembering every perceived slight you ever committed against them. They are not confused, they are tactical. They are using their physical decline to demand the servitude they can no longer command through fear or charm. Imagine a predator that has lost its teeth but still tries to gum its prey to death. That is the aging narcissist. They are physically diminished, stripped of the beauty, money, or status they once used to control you. But the will to power remains intact. They are trapped in a body that is betraying them, in a house that is too quiet, with a phone that rarely rings. Yet, if you listen to them speak, they are still the center of the universe. They are still the victim of a cruel world. They are still the unappreciated genius. The delusion has not faded, it has hardened into a diamond-hard psychosis. This video is the validation you have been starving for. You have likely felt guilty for not wanting to care for them. You have felt like the bad child or the heartless partner, because you feel revulsion instead of compassion when you look at them. I am here to tell you that your body knows the truth. Your nervous system is reacting to the monster that is still living inside the elderly shell. You are sensing the discrepancy between the frailty they project and the venom they still possess. Do not let their age trick you into lowering your shields. A viper is still a viper, even when it is shedding its skin. We are peeling back the curtain on the final act of the narcissistic play. In this act, the stage is dark, the theater is empty, and the actor is shouting their lines into the void. But they keep shouting. They keep lying about who they were, who they are, and what they did to you. They are rewriting the script in real time to paint themselves as the martyr of the family. They tell nurses, neighbors, and strangers tragic tales of how their ungrateful children abandoned them. They are running a smear campaign from a recliner chair, desperate to recruit one last flying monkey before the lights go out. Why is this secret knowledge? Because we are terrified of our own mortality, so we project sanctity onto the aged. We don't want to believe that a human being can reach the end of their life without learning a single lesson about love. But the narcissist proves this terrifying possibility. They are living proof that you can go 80 years on this planet and never actually touch the soul of another human being. They are spiritual corpses that are still walking, talking, and demanding your attention. Recognizing this is the key to breaking the guilt that binds you to them. You need to prepare yourself for a heavy realization: there is no deathbed confession coming. There is no moment of clarity where they grab your hand and say, "I'm sorry for everything." That is a Hollywood fantasy. The reality of the aging narcissist is denial until the final breath. They will die as they lived, blaming you for the fact that they are dying. They will use their final moments to secure one last drop of supply, one last reaction, one last testament to their own importance. The lie is terminal. We are going to dissect the architecture of the lie in their final years. We will look at why they become hoarders of objects and grievances. We will examine why they turn on the few caregivers who stay. We will reveal why they would rather rot in isolation than admit to a single flaw. This is not just about them. It is about freeing you from the expectation of closure. You cannot get closure from a locked vault that contains nothing but darkness. Do not click away, because this is the exorcism of your guilt. By the end of this script, you will understand that their loneliness is not a tragedy you caused. It is the natural consequence of a lifetime of predation. You are not abandoning a parent or a partner, you are escaping a black hole that is trying to pull you into its event horizon before it collapses. Let us begin the autopsy of the eternal lie. To understand the aging narcissist, you must understand the concept of narcissistic calcification. In youth, their personality was somewhat fluid, able to adapt to get what they wanted. But as they age, the false self hardens like concrete. They lose the cognitive flexibility to maintain complex lies, so they retreat into simple, repetitive delusions. They tell the same 5 stories where they are the hero. They repeat the same grievances from 1985. They are trapped in a time loop of their own ego. They are not lying to trick you anymore. They are lying to keep their own psyche from shattering into a million pieces. They suffer from a malignant preservation instinct. They know, on a subconscious level, that their life has been a failure of connection. They know they are unloved. But to admit this would cause a psychotic break. So, the mind constructs a fortress of denial. The more evidence the world gives them that they are irrelevant, no calls, no visits, no respect, the bigger the lie must become to counter it. They claim they are choosing solitude because everyone else is toxic. They claim they are too advanced for the world. The lie is the structural beam holding up a collapsing roof. Think of the aging narcissist as a hoarder, but instead of newspapers and trash, they hoard perceived slights and fantasy victories. Their mind is a cluttered, dusty room filled to the ceiling with reasons why they are right. There is no room for new information. There is no room for you. If you try to bring truth into this room, you are threatening to topple the piles of garbage they call their reality. They will attack you with the ferocity of a cornered rat because you are disturbing the nest of their delusions. The somatic narcissist faces a specific hell, the mirror of horror. Their entire worth was tied to their beauty or strength. Now that gravity has done its work, they experience body dysmorphia of the soul. They look in the mirror and see a stranger. To cope, they hallucinate. They believe they still turn heads. They flirt inappropriately with nurses or waitstaff, oblivious to the creep factor. They are trying to extract supply from a dead battery. It is pathetic, yes, but it is also psychologically necessary for them to avoid suicide. The cerebral narcissist becomes the bitter oracle. Since they can no longer command respect through achievement, they demand it through seniority. They lecture you on things they know nothing about. They rewrite history to make themselves the shadow architect of everyone's success. I taught him everything he knows, they say about a stranger on TV. They are desperate to prove that their mind is still sharp, even as they forget your name. The lie is a shield against the terrifying irrelevance of dementia and decline. We must address the paranoia of the powerless. As they lose physical agency, they become convinced that the world is stealing from them. The maid stole my silver, they whisper. My children want my money. This is projection. They spent a lifetime stealing energy and joy from others, so they assume everyone is doing the same to them. They become misers, hoarding every penny and every object, terrified of being empty. They die sitting on a pile of gold, starving for a drop of love, convinced that the gold is the only thing keeping them safe. The victimhood narrative reaches a fever pitch. In their youth, they were the hero. In old age, they are the martyr. This is a strategic shift. They know that pity is the last form of supply available to the elderly. So they manufacture crises. They exaggerate illnesses. They create emergencies on Christmas Eve. They want you to worry. If you are worrying about them, you are thinking about them. If you are rushing to the hospital, they have control. They are weaponizing mortality to keep you on a leash. Intimacy anorexia becomes terminal. You might try, out of guilt, to have a real conversation with them before they die. You want to bridge the gap. But you will find that the bridge has been burned. They cannot tolerate intimacy because intimacy requires vulnerability. To an aging narcissist, vulnerability is death. They will deflect your emotional questions with boredom, anger, or a sudden health crisis. They would rather have you change their diaper than see their soul. They choose indignity over intimacy every single time. They live in a binary world. You are either the perfect caregiver, slave, or the ungrateful traitor, enemy. There is no middle ground. If you miss one phone call, you are painted black. If you set one boundary, you are written out of the will. This splitting is their way of simplifying a complex world they can no longer navigate. It allows them to justify their cruelty. I don't have to be nice to you, they reason, because you are bad. It is the moral logic of a toddler in the body of an octogenarian. Ultimately, the psychological breakdown reveals a person who has bankrupted their humanity. They spent 80 years making withdrawals from the emotional bank accounts of others and never made a deposit. Now, the account is closed. They are standing at the ATM of life, punching in their PIN, and getting an insufficient funds notice. But instead of admitting they are broke, they yell at the machine. They yell at you. They yell at the silence. The dramatic turning point arrives when the audience finally leaves the theater. For years, you stayed out of obligation, hope, or fear. But one day, the scale tips. Maybe it's a cruel comment made to your child. Maybe it's the realization that they don't know your birthday. Maybe it's just exhaustion. You stop calling every day. You stop rushing over for false alarms. You institute low contact or no contact. This withdrawal of attention triggers a narcissistic collapse in the aging predator that is terrifying to behold. Their reaction is visceral panic masked as rage. When they realize the phone isn't ringing, they don't self-reflect, they escalate. They leave voicemails that swing wildly between "I'm dying and nobody cares" to "you are a selfish brat and I never want to see you." They are throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. They are trying to find the specific emotional trigger that will make you dance one last time. It is a frantic, desperate flailing of a drowning swimmer trying to pull you under. Watch how they triangulate from the grave. They will start calling distant relatives, old friends, or even your ex-partners to tell them how worried they are about you. "She never calls," they sob to your aunt. "I think he's on drugs," they whisper to your cousin. They are trying to destroy your reputation as a good person, so that you are forced to return to them to defend yourself. They are willing to burn your social standing to the ground just to feel the heat of the fire. This is the shift in power you must recognize. Their malice is now impotent. In the past, their rage could hurt you. It could ruin your weekend, your self-esteem, your life. But now? It's just noise. You look at the angry texts and you don't feel fear, you feel disgust. You realize that they are a paper tiger. They are shouting commands, but they have no army. They are a dictator in exile, ruling over a kingdom of dust bunnies and expired medication. The medical hoax is their last card. They will stage a fall. They will refuse to eat. They will stop taking medication. They are playing chicken with death to get your attention. This is the ultimate form of Munchausen by proxy inflicted on themselves. They are saying, "Look what you made me do." They want you to feel that their death will be your fault. But the turning point comes when you realize you cannot save someone who is holding themselves hostage. You see the mask slip completely in front of strangers. As their cognitive faculties decline, they lose the ability to maintain the charade in public. They snap at the waitress. They make racist or sexist comments in the waiting room. They scream at the nurse. The world starts to see what you saw all along. You stop making excuses for them. You stop saying, "Oh, he's just old and cranky." You let them sit in the mess they made. You let the world judge them. This public exposure is their worst nightmare coming true. The turning point is your emotional detachment. You visit them, and you feel like you are visiting a museum exhibit of a person. You see the manipulation attempts, but they bounce off you. You treat them with clinical politeness. You ask about the weather. You check the fridge. You leave. This gray rock behavior destroys them. They want fuel, whether it's love or hate, they don't care. But indifference? Indifference is the oxygen deprivation that suffocates the narcissist's ego. They begin to haunt their own house. Without new supply, they start looping. They pace the floors, muttering arguments they had with you 10 years ago. They are living in the past because the present is too painful. They are ghosts before they are dead. They are trapped in the purgatory of the unchanged mind. You realize that they are not living anymore. They are simply existing in a state of malicious suspension. The great silence descends. As friends die off and family retreats, the narcissist is left with the only company they deserve, themselves. And they hate it. They turn on the TV to max volume to drown out the silence. They keep the lights on the 24th of July to avoid the dark. They are terrified of the quiet because in the quiet, the truth tries to speak. The turning point is when you stop trying to fill that silence for them. The chapter ends with the realization that you have already grieved. You grieve the parent or partner you never had years ago. The person in front of you is just a biological remnant. You are free to walk away because there is nothing left to save. The turning point is not about them changing, it's about you accepting that they never will. The collapse of the aging narcissist is not a bang, it is a squalid whimper. As their control over the external world evaporates, their internal world rots. The consequences of a life without love manifest physically. Their home becomes a reflection of their mind, chaotic, dirty, and filled with dead things. They refuse help because accepting help means admitting weakness. They would rather live in filth than bow to a caregiver. This is Diogenes syndrome fueled by malignant pride. They experience the betrayal of the body. For a narcissist, the body was a tool of domination. Now, it is a cage. They are humiliated by their own incontinence, their immobility, their dependence. This humiliation turns into rabid aggression. They bite the hand that feeds them, literally. Caregivers quit. Agencies refuse to send staff. They are blacklisted by the very people paid to help them. They are dying in a prison of their own behavior. Financial ruin often follows the social ruin. They may have used money to control people, but in their paranoia, they made bad decisions. Or they fall victim to scammers who stroke their ego. A younger scammer tells the aging narcissist, "You are so smart, nobody understands you like I do," and the narcissist hands over the keys to the castle. They are easy marks because their vanity is a gaping backdoor that anyone can walk through. They lose their fortune trying to buy validation. The social circle shrinks to zero. The friends they bragged about? Gone. The colleagues they impressed? Moved on. The family? Estranged. The only people at their bedside are paid staff checking their watches. The narcissist realizes, in moments of terrifying clarity, that they are unloved. But instead of softening, they harden. They decide that the world is unworthy of them. They die sneering at the universe. Legacy of trauma. They attempt to leave a landmine in their will. They write people out, or they leave conditional gifts designed to cause fighting among siblings from the grave. They want to puppeteer the family even after death. They want their funeral to be a scene of drama and wailing. But the consequence is often the opposite. The family bonds over the shared trauma. The will is contested or ignored. The funeral is sparse and awkward. Their attempt at a final strike fails. They become the monster in the attic. For the family members who haven't gone no contact, the aging narcissist becomes a dark secret. They are the relative nobody talks about. They are the burden everyone is waiting to be released from. There is no honor in their old age, only endurance. The family is effectively waiting for the news not with dread, but with anticipation of relief. Internal purgatory. We can only imagine the mental landscape of the dying narcissist. It is a hellscape of resentment. They replay every time they were wronged. They stew in vindictiveness. They never experience the peace of surrender. They are fighting the tide until the water fills their lungs. They die exhausted from a war that only existed in their head. The final hover fails. They might try one last call to you on their deathbed. "I'm dying," they say, expecting you to rush to their side and beg for forgiveness. If you don't come, or if you come and stand there stoically, they feel the ultimate narcissistic injury. They realize they cannot summon you anymore. You have outgrown their gravity. They die feeling powerless, which is the only punishment that fits the crime. The aftermath is silence. When they pass, the heavy energy lifts from the family. There is a collective exhale. The black cloud has dissipated. People are surprised by their own lack of tears. They feel guilty for not feeling guilty. But this is the consequence of the narcissist's life. They ensured that their absence would be more valued than their presence. Ultimately, the consequence is erasure. Because they never connected deeply, they leave no warm traces behind. They are forgotten quickly. The stories told about them are warnings, not tributes. They become a case study in how not to live. They are deleted from the family narrative, or kept as a shadowy figure in the background. They wanted to be immortal, but they became invisible. You did not abandon them, they abandoned themselves decades ago. The person you see withering away is not a victim of your neglect, they are the architect of their own solitude. Every empty chair at their table was placed there by their own hand. Every unreturned phone call was earned by 1,000 insults. You are witnessing the law of cause and effect in its purest, most brutal form. You are not the villain of this story, you are the survivor who finally stopped trying to water a dead plant. You must realize that closure is not something they give you, it is something you give yourself. Closure is the moment you realize that the why doesn't matter anymore. Why did they lie? Why were they cruel? It doesn't matter. The what is what matters. What they did was abuse. What they are is unchangeable. You accept the reality of who they are, and in that acceptance, you find the key to your own cage. Do not let their final act trick you into revisionist history. Death does not sanctify the abuser. Just because they are gone doesn't mean they were good. You are allowed to be relieved. You are allowed to skip the funeral. You are allowed to feel joy that the source of your pain has been removed from the earth. Do not let society gaslight you into mourning a monster. Your peace is more important than their pageantry. You are breaking the cycle. The fact that you are watching this, analyzing this, and feeling this means you are nothing like them. They grew old and bitter, you are growing wise and free. The trauma stops with you. The lies stop with you. You are the firewall that protected your own soul and the souls of those you love from their infection. Stand tall in that achievement. The lie dies with them. All the stories they told, all the false realities they constructed, it all evaporates the moment they take their last breath. The truth remains with you. You are the keeper of the reality. You know what happened. You know who they were. And now, you have the rest of your life to live in the light of truth. The shadow is gone. Reclaim your empathy. They tried to weaponize your empathy against you, to make you feel guilty for their suffering. Take that empathy back. Give it to yourself. Give it to the inner child who was hurt by them. Give it to the people who actually love you. Do not waste another drop of your precious spirit on a black hole. You have paid your dues. The debt is cancelled. Imagine yourself walking out of that dark, dusty room where they sat alone. You step outside into the fresh air. The sun is shining. The birds are singing. You take a deep breath, and it doesn't rattle in your chest. You are free. You look back at the house one last time, and you don't feel anger. You feel pity. Pity for a soul that had the gift of life and wasted it on a lie. You are the living proof that they failed. They tried to break you, to mold you, to consume you. But here you are. Resilient. Aware. Alive. You are the anti-narcissist. You are the victory. Their legacy is dust, your legacy is growth. I am done waiting for a change that will never come. I release the guilt. I release the obligation. I release the ghost. I am sovereign. I am whole. I am mine. The lie is over. The truth is here. The narcissist grows old, alone, and dies in the prison of their own lies. But you? You get to grow old with the truth, surrounded by love, walking in the light. The story ends for them, but for you, the beautiful, authentic, messy, wonderful life is just beginning. You are free. The end.